With over 20 years experience in the technology field, serving Fortune 500 and small companies alike, he holds 2 degrees and multiple certifications.
Cybersecurity expert
Will Nobles.
Boy, has he had success in his life.
Since I've started my company, I've dedicated myself in helping my clients protect the integrity of their data.
The CEO of Vector Choice Technology Solutions. Please welcome Mr. Will Nobles.
People don't get risk that's out there. Don't be careless with your technology. Your employees are your #1 security risk that you have.
Someone clicks on a link, spreads across the network, and encrypts the data on that network.
When we're sitting down with a client for the first time, one of the things we're looking at is what are they doing today to protect themselves against cyber attacks. Just because you're a small firm or you don't have a lot of money, don't think that someone's not trying to hack you. Everybody is vulnerable.
Go into the dark web, look and see of your employees what passwords are out there.
What we do is partner humanity with technology. All right, guys, so today we're going to be talking about remote access and VPN. But before we get to that, I've got a special guest. You guys are going to love to hear about real estate and what's going on in the real estate world right now. It's just as crazy as technology and anything else we're doing, especially staying at home. A little bit about myself. I've covered this several times. You guys see what's on the screen, but what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share 2 unique things about me that you might not know. At 4 years old, I got my first ATV. I know my parents were crazy, but I got my first ATV when I was 4 years old. But at 18, I was driving a 100-ton bulldozer in a mine. So I've been driving vehicles, I think, all my life and running some type of equipment all my life. So just wanted to share that with you guys. I thought that would be fun to do. So we're going to talk real quick about who's Vector, recap of past webinars, our special guest, Robbie, and then we're going to jump into remote access and VPN and how to secure yourself working from home, and any Q&As. And at any time, if you guys have any questions for us, please put in the Q&A. Logan will jump in and ask us those questions, or you can put it in the chat as well. We have 4 offices. We do a lot of compliancy, and we've done work international as well. So if you ever need any, or your customers need any assistance across the globe, we can definitely help there. A few things that we do, we're talking about the managed services, email hosting, phone hosting, building technology, if that's low voltage cabling, camera systems, door access control, software development, compliancy, we can help you with. Now, this webinar is not meant to be a sales call by no means, but I just do want to educate you guys what Vector Choice is about for the people that are on this call that do not know Vector Choice. Now, a little bit about the past webinars. You can go to vectorchoice.com/work-from-home. If you want to see any of the past webinars that we've done, they are all there with links that I've talked about within the meeting, and then contacts of the special guests as well. There's a lot of good stuff there about how to use Zoom. I swear, I don't know how many questions I've gotten in over the past several weeks of how to use Zoom. If you go watch the first webinar, that will actually take you step by step of how to use Zoom. And one of the nice things about it is, even if you're on mute, you can hit the space bar on your computer and hold that down, and that will take you off of mute for that short time. So you see a lot of people fumbling around and trying to unmute themselves. That is a quick key there to do that. Okay, so let's go to our special guest, Robbie Robertson. So Robbie, you're owner of Robertson Real Estate, and if anybody wants to contact him, I'll put this information back up here in a second as well. But Robbie, thank you so much. I'm going to stop sharing my PowerPoint here so we can see both of us. Robbie, thank you so much for being with us, and how's everything going?
Will, thanks for having me on, and thanks for doing these. It certainly helps out while a lot of us are working from home. Real estate lags, okay? And before that, I'll just do a quick intro. So I grew up with real estate. I took a 9-year break from real estate to work for Accenture and do business strategy for the Fortune 500, and then too much travel, kids, time to get back to it. So I've been in Atlanta 22 years. the best way, and before I begin, all that's going on right now, a lot with every business depends on when they open things back up. So, you know, I'll throw that caveat. And if I had the perfect crystal ball, I would have bought a toilet paper company, and I wouldn't be sitting here today. So, you know, I'll share my view of the Atlanta market today. So if you think about it, there are two forces that are going to be working against each other over the next several months. One is we still have incredibly low inventory of good homes, okay? And for 500 and under, I'll get to that in a minute, there's still wonderful rates. I mean, historically low mortgage rates.
And you say 500K.
That's on one side, and that's been pushing for a long time. On the other side, now we have incredible.
Oh, Robbie, I think we've lost you there. Technology, people. You got to love it. Let's see if we get Robbie back here in a second. Hey, Logan, are you able to still hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay.
Robbie's frozen though.
Yeah. So, guys, this is the prime example of you know, technology, and especially us working remotely today, and sort of, you know, it just happens. It looks like he just dropped his internet, so he should be back here in a second. I do apologize about that, but it is technology. Things like that happens, especially with internet. While we're waiting, one of the things I'll definitely talk about is making sure, because of your employees or yourself working from home, make sure you have the best internet that you can afford and you can get in your areas. Because things like, but no matter how you have the best internet, things do like that happen. So not a big deal, but we'll get him back here in a second. And Ed, I will answer your question about the VPN access here once we get Robbie back, and we'll jump over to that point. And while we're waiting for Robbie to come back in, it looks like he's come back in. We will be talking Monday about internet providers and choosing the right internet provider on Monday. So, Robbie.
I have no idea. So,
you know what? I was just telling everybody is technology is going to happen. So,
got it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, where I was at was, you know, the two forces working against each other. The demand on one side, and then the low inventory and low interest rates. Who wins is a good question. But, you know, I've listened to many calls, experts in the industry, and what most of them say is that for buyers, you know, this is going to be an opportunity for you over the next 2 quarters, probably until October. And that's if we open things up soon, early May, businesses start getting back going. But, you know, the economist for the National Association of Realtors said 5 to 10% drop in home values by the end of 2020. That makes sense with, you know, 20 million people unemployed.
Yeah.
Hopefully those people get back to work. But so here's a very big difference with that. Okay. And I think that's what a lot of people in Atlanta need to understand. There is no market for loans right now above 500. Okay, there are a few banks trying to put assets together to create those, but I'm not going to get into the details of it. But right now, those loans are not available.
And when you mean the loans, and so you're talking about 500K houses worth 500K or more.
500,000, correct, 500,000 and up.
Yep.
What we call jumbo.
Yeah.
Those packages are just not available today.
So they're just staying away from it and not lending at all on those.
The insurance is not there to protect the lenders.
Yeah.
And they're scrambling. I hope they get it together any day. The underlying reason for that is that there's a 3 and 6 month period in the CARE Act that tells people that they don't have to pay their mortgage, and that they call their lender and say, I'm not paying it. However, it's all due once that time frame is over. Yeah. So the lenders and the servicers, bondholders, blah, 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 they're just scared, and they're like, hey, wait a minute. if I may have all these people telling the banks they're not paying, they're taking a step back and going, okay, no new loans over 500. Under 500 is fine. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, still like they always, they're insuring those loans. It's a little bit messed up, but the lenders can get through it. So
I've heard it's definitely they've made the qualifications tougher. I think I heard something. Is this true that your interest? I mean, the credit scores has to be 700 or higher now versus what it used to be.
So the clarity on that is you better have some good credit if you want a good rate.
Yeah.
That, you know, FHA, VA, and USDA, I heard they went from 580 to 620, and maybe one of them to 650. But if you want to call and get a conventional loan and a decent rate, you want to have some 700 plus credit.
Okay.
To do so. Right now, it could change in 2 weeks, and I really hope it goes back to normal. But until they figure out that 6 month time frame to where people don't have to pay their mortgage, that shakes an industry up pretty quick.
Yeah. So do you see that the real you know, sort of, we're not going to go back to 07, 08 times, right, where everybody's filing for bankruptcy and for foreclosures, and you're going to start seeing a lot of foreclosures in your neighborhood? Or do you think we're going to get to that point?
So what we didn't have in 08, 09 was the government quickly coming out and saying you don't have to pay for 6 months. So there in 08, 09, it was spread out over a 3 or 4 year time frame. It's just as people lost their jobs slowly and couldn't pay, they got behind. So it created a long time frame. Here, like I mentioned in the beginning, if we open things up in early May and get most of those people that have been waiting and on unemployment back into the job market, Atlanta's going to be much more robust than it was in 08, 09 when we were a totally construction and commercial real estate city.
Yeah.
You know, that just tanked everything, and a domino effect. We're much more robust than that now. So, you know, the caveat is that, you know, we can't control what our governments do. So if Kemp comes out and says, you know, I think we're going to shut down for May as well, then, you know, I'm going to drive to the Capitol and wave my flag around. But yeah. I mean, you know, I really don't think that's going to happen. I really think that, you know, we're going to open it up in early May, and that we'll see those jobs come back. And most people's estimation, 6 months, we'll start getting back to where we were. There's definitely going to be a disruption. The sellers that ask me the question, they go, hey, you know, I was going to sell my house. We've been talking about it for a while. We're ready. But what's going to take place? And I've told them, I'm like, listen, you know, right now, every listing that I have that I haven't sold or that are coming, I don't blame them. They're fearful of letting people come through their houses right now with their kids or their elderly parents or just them.
So how are you working around that? You know, obviously you've got to show a house, and then the inspectors have to get in there. How are you even able to do that right now?
So there's some awesome technology. I mean, there's 3D floor plans that you can create. There's, you know, we've been doing drone videos as well as interior videos for some time. All those are available, and that's about the best you can do. If you throw those 3 elements of video of all over the outside, inside, and then a 3D floor plan, it doesn't give you that smell and feel and you know, the buyer walks in and they're like, I'm home, this is what I want.
Yeah.
But you know, it does very much minimize a lot to let them narrow down their homes. And then finally you call your sellers and go like, hey, listen, you know, these guys are dead set on your house. Let's find a way to let them go through, and then you can Clorox and wipe down everything when they leave. So, that's happening. But, with the fear and things that are out there and the real chance that, someone may have this that comes through, most of my clients are simply saying, I want to hold off. Now, people without kids and that are younger, some of my clients downtown or in Dunwoody and not necessarily out in what we call the suburbs or outside the perimeter. I mean, right or wrong, they're cool with it. They're like, bring them on, let them show it. And then they kind of they're like, well, why won't they let me in houses? So, it's messed up, not gonna lie. So I'm as ready as anyone for some calming times and people getting back to work.
Yeah.
So
how are you being productive working from home? We're all working from home today, and everybody is, and obviously real estate, you're on the phone a lot, but then you're also showing houses a lot. So how are you making yourself productive?
Sure. So, the 600 or 700 people that I know in Atlanta, that it's not weird if I call them. I mean, gosh, if people have time today, so it's usually like a 30-minute call.
Yeah.
Just checking on their kids and how they're doing. So the biggest thing is keeping the lines of communication open and explaining to them if they have real estate questions. Every neighborhood, not just city, but every neighborhood is specific and has a different feel to it. So, talking with them, but also, I'm also trying to help them. I'm like, you could have a real advantage if you could find a way to show your house today. You could have a real advantage because the inventory is low, and it's even lower with the ones that'll let people in their homes.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to sell your house right now, so real estate lags behind, I've mentioned. Appraisals right now will be based on values from November through today. Okay. Yep. So as we move, and I'm already starting to see a few sell for lower, as we move on that spectrum, the longer you wait, the more chance that, an appraiser pulls in one of the lower sales and goes, I'm going to use that one. We'll fight it. I fight appraisers, every week, but, they're going to be pulling in those lower ones when they can, because the lenders are going to be requiring them to do so. They want a true market value. So, that's the way, I'm just communicating and helping and, trying to educate during this time. People that that are at home, how they can help themselves is fix up their yard. Do that project on the bathroom they've been putting off for 3 years. Kitchens and bathrooms sell homes. So, if you've been putting off that or those little projects, now's a wonderful time to do them.
Yeah. Now, how about in general, if you want to sell your home, what do you need to do to your home to prepare to sell? It might not be the best time in the world to sell or buy, but right now, but what if someone does want to sell even now or 6 months or a year from now, what is the, top things that you tell your clients to have your home ready to do?
Sure. A little more difficult today because I really, I'll either have a Zoom call or a FaceTime call and they can show me the house. I'll do my best with what I see, but if you want your house to sell quickly today, it doesn't need to be for a high price and it's still non-updated, right? I mean, it's got to be, if you want full price today, especially what's kind of going on with buyers starting to be weary about everything, you're going to need to have an updated house. And if it's not, it's going to need to be priced accordingly. Okay. And so once we have that discussion, especially for the people that are a year out or 6 months out, they have time to, take a look at the kitchen, take a look at the bathrooms, take a look at the flooring, lighting. I'm really a minimalist for the most part because, even more now, people are going to be like, I don't want to touch that savings, or, you know, I may have to use it coming up, which is fine. Then we just have the discussion of, okay, these are the houses that have sold near to you that weren't updated. Look at the price difference between non-updated and updated. And, you know, does it make sense to spend that money to possibly get that return for the updated house? That's going to be a harder discussion because, you know, if we take a little longer to open this thing up, people don't have the greatest jobs with that 5, possibly 10% drop in values. You know, it's definitely a time to get specific with a good agent and make a plan. Everybody's plan's different, Will.
Yeah. So when, you know, let's talk about, you know, we all have extra junk in our house. I know my basement is full of stuff that I probably could get rid of. And you know, you've got colors at your house that you like. Do you recommend make sure the clutter's cleared out, that the walls are neutral? How do you guide, you know, when you go into a house and say, okay, yeah, I can help you sell this, but you need to do X, Y, Z. What are some of those things that you point out?
Sure. So almost everyone at a high level, I mean, please, you know, you've got to get the clutter out, even if you almost open a closet and it pours out on you. I mean, kitchen counters are very important for them to be able to see and feel the space. So, you know, you need to find a place for the blender, the toaster, and all that when you're showing your homes and when you're taking the pictures. A lot of people slam them up, take pictures, and then slam them back out, and they're all out when you show. Yeah. I mean, most buyers are going to know if it's the house for them within about 3 to 4 minutes. Okay. And sometimes it's like the first minute. Yeah. So if you've got your kids' stuff all over, your beds aren't made up, and it feels frumpy dumpy, then, you know, you're portraying that to a buyer that walks in. The same for the yard, unfortunately. You know, if it's unkept and this and that, you know, I sell and listen, I have to be very aware of my client's situation. Okay. Yeah. There's some that, you know, they've got to sell. They're already living in another state working, and there's only so much that's going to happen. So, you know, we just bake that into the plan that we create together. And we have a strategy for pricing. We have a strategy for if certain things don't work. As of a month ago, you know, we were always shooting for the stars. Yeah. Okay. And, you know, we got halfway or all the way there a lot of times. Yeah. But this is going to change things, and buyers are going to be licking their chops for a little while because they haven't been in control for years and years. I mean, it's been a seller's market since 2014. Yeah. So, you know, the chance that they get at this, the chance that investors get at this, and where they can have a little piece of control, you know, that's going to taste really good for them.
So pretty much you got some extra money that you want to spend, and you want some real estate property or rental homes or whatever. Really, now is a good time for buyers.
It's you know, the next 3 to 4 months, it's going to take, it always does. Yeah. Seller. Okay. And let me explain something that's very important here. Watch the jumbo market. Okay. 500 and up. And really it'll probably start about 650, 700 and up. If these loan packages and ability to get loans don't come through soon, that market is going to get hammered. So when we say 5 to 10% drop, you know, here's likely what's to happen. 400, 500 and under, especially 300 and under, those may stay stable with their prices. Okay. There might be plenty of demand for those, but without good loan options and liquidity, what we call liquidity, of being able to sell homes above 600-700, you know, I don't want to predict this, but if we take 6 months to get a good solution for that upper market, you're going to see the 1.3 millions, the 1.1s selling for 700 and 800, 600. the people that have to sell are not going to have good options, and there's not going to be a buyer pool for them.
Yeah.
Except the people that have enough cash to pay it down to 500. So that's going to get ugly really quick. I'm really hoping that private markets and things like that create good solutions soon, but that's really hard with 6 months of potential no payments from people that don't want to pay.
Yep.
And you asked about foreclosures earlier. That's 6 months. So given that people can pop up and go, hey, I'm not paying and this is how I understand it works. Hey, Mr. Lender, banker, I'm not going to pay my mortgage for 3 months. 3 months comes, they touch base, they call back again and go, hey, I'm not going to pay for another 3 months. So at the end of those 6 months, that's when we're going to start seeing the potential foreclosures, because they're going to have 6 months of payments, probably penalties built up, and it's all going to be due.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that, is that you can postpone, and I think what you're saying is, if you don't have to postpone your mortgage payments, don't do it, because you're going to have penalties. You're probably going to have some extra interest, and then it's all going to be due in that 6 months. So it's like paying 6 months of mortgage up front. That's hard to do.
They're saying that no penalties or anything can be put in there, but there's gonna. I mean, I just have the belief that the lenders aren't stupid. They're going to figure out how to go, well, there's no penalties, but you didn't pay anything. So all that money is we're charging interest on top of our normal interest. And then it's due, compounded when you're finished. So I'm of the belief that, look, if you're out of work and you can't pay it, then use it to your advantage and take a few months. But once you have the ability to pay it back quickly, because it's not going to be like 8 or 9 to where, unless the luxury market again gets hammered like it might, it's not going to be like then to where the lenders just sit back and let you stay in your house for another year. They're going to be very quick to foreclose once that happens, because potentially the longer they wait, this is what's killing them, right? 6 months from now, they don't know what the home values are going to be. So they're going, oh my gosh, I might not get paid for 6 months. And then my asset is depreciating all this time while I'm waiting. So that's why they're being so standoffish. I think SunTrust is offering jumbo loans with only a certain amount confirmed in their accounts. So, I mean, if anybody wants to give me $500,000, I'll loan them money.
I'll loan them $500,000 on $1 million house.
But my hope is there'll be some solution for that soon.
All right, cool. So anything else? So we'll wrap up this part of the webinar, but anything else that you have in mind that you recommend, if it's real estate, if it's just, how to work from home and because I hear a lot of people getting burned out. They are working more hours because everybody's busy. Companies have cut back staff, so it makes it even busier. And then the fact that you're already home, so you're going to work. You're going to get up early and work. You're going to work late. What's your recommendations of stepping away from and getting away from it? Because when you go home, right? And a lot of people go home and they leave their work at work. But what's your recommendations that you have for that?
So I'm from the South, and I grew up, understanding blue collar and white collar. And my point to people is that in the time that you think that you have more time to do things, you should stop selling and you should start helping. So anybody in a sales role, like I said, the 600 or 700 people that I need to touch base with, I'm just making calls when I'm not flipping over and helping someone with work. And it's not a real estate call. It's a call to say, hey, how you doing? How are your kids? How's your family? And continuing the relationship, because without relationships in my business, it's worthless. I mean, It's
Yep.
not transactional.
Yeah. So, and that's what I've been advising is stop selling. And I think that's spreading across to stop selling. People don't want to be sold to right now. Unless you're able to help them, but again, help them, educate them, and then they will buy if they can, or they can afford, or they find a need for it. And that's why we're doing these webinars, Robbie. That's why I'm having people like you on, just to educate. None of our webinars that we've done in the past, I guess we're 3 weeks into it now, that have sold anything. It's just really educating the products and the tools that are out there that can be used. And it's fun. It's fun to educate. It's fun to give back. And if you can, people on this call, if you can give back in any way to your community, to charities or whatever, to help someone out that's in need, that's out of a job, do that. I encourage everybody to do that. Well, Robbie, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. Any other real estate? So before I let you go, any other real estate ideas that you think that you can think of?
No, just people, reach out, and your questions and situations are specific. So, it just depends on their situation to give advice, and that's what we need to be doing right now.
Absolutely. So guys, everybody on Facebook, and obviously Robbie focuses on the Atlanta market. You can reach out to Robbie. I've put his information up here. This information will also be on the work from home website as well. But you can reach out to him if you are trying to sell or buy a home. I'll tell you, Robbie is awesome. He will take care of you as a client, and he knows his stuff. So let's roll into remote access and VPN. And again, this is going to be a short part of technology and short what I'm educating you guys on today. But I think it's good to know, especially working from home. So there's a lot of things. Let's talk about VPNs first. So a VPN is a virtual private network. And what that means is that when you are sitting on your laptop and you connect to a VPN, that means you're connecting over the internet, but you're encrypting that data that is traveling over the internet. So you can protect information that you're sharing back and forth. And it's not just over on the public internet. Now, a lot of people have used VPNs when it comes to connecting to their office to get to data and so forth. That is a VPN, absolutely. That's a corporate company VPN. You might use Cisco, SonicWall, WatchGuard. So there's different. Microsoft has a built-in VPN that if you're a VPN device that you're connecting to at your office. So there's several ways to connect to a VPN. And again, that is just giving you a virtual connection into your office. So it's like sitting at your office working, but it just gives you that security connection over the internet. Now, that is for company-based. Now, there's two types of company-based types of VPNs. There is a VPN that some companies say, you can say all traffic has to go to the office when you connect to the VPN, and you cannot have any traffic going anywhere else. Meaning they can block and say, I don't want to allow someone to search the internet while they're connected to data in the VPN. A lot of large companies will do that, and some of my clients request that to, lock that user down to only get to that type of information. Now, can VPNs, when you've got locked down a VPN to only go to the office and only traffic is open that way, and still search the internet? Yes, there's some things that can be done to do that. Then the other way is called split VPN. So when you connect to your office VPN, you can get to the data that you have, but also you can search the internet, and that doesn't go through the office. That's just going through, if you want to go to Google or CNN or Fox News or whatever the case may be, you can go that way. So that's called split VPN. So a lot of us in the business world that uses VPNs connecting to their office, they're familiar with that. Well, one of the things a lot of people are not familiar with is a VPN when you're not connecting to your corporate network or your company network. And there's softwares out there There's one for consumer grade that I recommend. It's called Express VPN. So if you just type in Express VPN in Google, you'll be able to see that. That link will be shared on the website as well. But Express VPN, you can install it on your phone, your computer. So when you do have to use public Wi-Fi, now let me get on that. I do not recommend using public Wi-Fi anywhere, but there is sometimes you have to. Like when I'm on the airplane on Delta flying at 30,000 feet, I cannot connect to any other Wi-Fi besides the Delta public Wi-Fi. So there's some times that you have to connect to public Wi-Fi. But if you can get away with it, if you have a hotspot on your mobile device, use that compared to using a Starbucks Wi-Fi or a restaurant's Wi-Fi. Use your hotspot on your phone for your computer. But if you do have to connect to a public Wi-Fi, I highly recommend putting a VPN client so it encrypts your data. And give you an example of that. If I go to Starbucks with my laptop, I use this Express VPN client, and we do have some of my customers or anybody, if you guys are interested from a business grade VPN like this, we do offer that as well. But when you connect to the VPN, it just encrypts the data. So if someone is sitting at Starbucks and is a hacker or a technology person trying to get into your machine, at least that data is encrypted back and forth. I'll give you a prime example of why you don't want to have a VPN not connecting to public Wi-Fi. So I can actually go in to Starbucks with a device. I can name it the same Wi-Fi or the name that you see on your Wi-Fi that pops up as Starbucks. I can name it the same. You can connect to it. I'll give you access to the internet through my device, okay? But everything you type, I'm going to capture. All websites you go to. So when you go to your banking website or you go to your corporate information, I am tracking. I can capture all that information. So that's why I don't recommend connecting to public Wi-Fi's is because of that. People like hackers that can go into anywhere, sit there with a device, allow you to still connect, and they're capturing all your key logs and everything that you type in. So be very careful with that. Now, if you happen to get on something like that and you're using a VPN, that is encrypting that data and that will help protect you, okay? So ExpressVPN for your phones, your mobile phones, and as well as your computers. So I hope that if you guys have any questions about that, please put it in the Q&A and I'll be able to answer that. Now, remote access. Remote access, and I'm going to really talk about connecting to servers, especially in the corporate network. You've probably heard of remote desktop, or you've used a remote desktop icon on your computer. Connect to what's called a terminal server or a server or your computer in your office. Now, we highly, highly recommend do not use what's traditionally called RDP. Okay, that's remote desktop, and so we highly suggest not using that. And you want to use RDS, Remote Desktop Services. Now, that is something new Microsoft came out with, I want to say, several years ago. But that gives you a secure connection logging in. When you have remote desktop, and what happens is you say, okay, in the firewall, I want to take this IP address. I want to allow this port to this server. Well, hackers know how to hack RDP very easily. I've seen customers get hacked over and over again when using remote desktop services. So be very careful with that. You definitely want to make sure your IT department has you using remote desktop services, not RDP, okay? I know there's a fine line on the verbiage there and the terminology, but definitely check with your IT department to find out what they're using for that. There's other things. That's the Windows version. You have Citrix, which it gives you a secure connection in, a Citrix connection and everything. That's another good tool to use for remoting into your corporate environment. So again, I just wanted to share that with you guys and educate that real quick about VPNs, remote access. And I think, Logan, we had one question earlier on the call, correct? About VPNs?
Yes. Can we use a VPN to access email from Microsoft?
So I'm going to take that you're talking about like Office 365. And Microsoft Office 365 does have some tools around encrypting that access from your Outlook and everything. It's not a conversation I can really go in depth here. I think Ed put that out. Ed, if you want to reach out to me, we have a one-on-one conversation about it. We can definitely do that. But again, it all depends if you're connecting Office 365, or if you're using a Microsoft Exchange server in-house, or if you're doing Microsoft Exchange hosting with someone outside of the O365. So I can answer that question probably more specific on your issue or concern there, Ed. So definitely reach out to me on that. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for people that have been jumping on the webinars over and over again. I definitely I love educating you guys on the different technologies. If you have something that you want me to talk about on one of these webinars, please feel free to email me, and I'll get that into the list. We've got about another week of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday webinars, and then I'm going to go to 2 times a week. It takes a lot out of me to prepare for these webinars and talk about it. And then I want to not overkill you guys with webinar invites and everything. So we'll probably go to like a Monday and Friday, and then sort of cut back from there. But I want to continue educating you guys on different products and everything. So next week, we're going to be talking about internet providers, what type of internets they're out there now, what kind of providers, their customer service ratings, and everything. So really dive deep in what is the best internet provider, and I'll go and tell you a little. They're none of them are the best. I love them. I have some good providers out there, but they have their own issues, and just like every company does. So we'll talk about internet providers. We'll talk about backup internet, and what that means and how that can work for you. We're going to have a special guest, Ella Carter. Ella is from a payroll company here in Atlanta, and she's going to be educating on how to deal with payroll and payroll questions, especially with PPP, and how to deal with how to handle that type of money, as well as talking about just how to handle payroll in general, especially in this time and day that we're working in. Direct deposits and all that good stuff. She's going to have a lot of good information for you, just like Robbie did today on real estate. So just to recap on a few things, if you are interested in referring business to us, you can go to vectorchoice.com/biggreenegg, and you can actually refer business to us there and enter in a drawing to win a green egg. That campaign ends on May the 30th, and then we'll be doing the drawing the next week after that. If you are interested, if you're a client and interested for your employees to have work from home security on their personal computers while they're accessing your corporate network for 60 days for free, we're giving you our monitoring tool, our antivirus, and also our backup for your employees' home machines. If you have a client, or if you're a client or a prospect and would like to sign up with us, we're giving the first 60 days away for free to you. I feel that I need to give back everything I can to help a customer in the time of need and getting through these difficult times that we're all dealing with. If you have any questions for me, my email address is wnobles@vectorchoice.com, or you can reach us at 678-701-0210. Again, thank you guys so much for coming on, supporting me in these efforts. Facebook, thank you so much for everybody being here. The people that keep jumping on webinars. You can invite people if you got friends, family members, clients, or your own prospects, anybody that wants to be educated on technology and some of these special guests that I'm having on. Please have them sign up on vectorchoice.com/work-from-home. They can sign up there and they'll get the webinar request and notifications about the webinars and everything. Please stay home. I know it's the weekend. Please stay safe. Have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully it doesn't rain where you're at and everybody can actually get outside and get outside of the house. Do some yard work. Do some honeydews for your wife or your spouse. And God bless, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you so much.